this is just yet another story of this kind to make the headlines. This time it's an Albanian man who entered British territory illegally. He's going to be allowed to stay here despite having been jailed for 8 months for a drugs offence. Now, the government did apply to expel him, but judges said that his crimes didn't meet the threshold for deportation.
So, with prisons full and the courts congested, is it time to deport criminals who came here illegally? Criminal defence lawyer Paul Britton says that would ease pressure on police and courts, but Amnesty International's Steve Valdez-Symonds says prison sentences are punishment enough. Very good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Steve, you're from Amnesty International. A lot of people will think, OK, if you came here illegally and then you broke the law, how is that not justification for deportation?
Well, I think the answer is because it doesn't tell me enough about the particular circumstances of the individual. I don't know when they arrived. I don't know their reasons for entering. I don't know whether they have been permitted to stay despite having entered without permission. I don't know their family circumstances in this country. I don't know what children and partners may be deprived of them if they are expelled from the country. I don't know so many things, and I don't also know whether it be safe to expel them to a particular place from which they have come.
But Albania is safe, though, isn't it? Sorry, to establish.
Susanna, carry on.
Albania is safe for the great majority of people. There are people who suffer persecution in Albania, and there are particularly people who are trafficked from Albania. But it's perfectly true that for many Albanians, Albania is a safe country.
But you say that we don't know the details of each case, but when we do know the details, and they do emerge, many people are enraged by them. I'm thinking, for example, of the case of Clevis Disha, decision made on the 9th of January 2025 that he could stay here after committing a crime and coming into the country illegally, because if he was deported with his son didn't like foreign chicken nuggets. He only liked UK chicken nuggets. Now, when people hear... And that was one of the bases that the judge allowed the guy to stay. And when people hear that, you can understand why they throw their hands up.
Well, when I hear that, I throw my hands up, not least because I know that it is utter nonsense. And I've dealt with these matters personally myself in the past, although not recently. I remember it wasn't that long ago, 10 years about, we had a Home Secretary bleating about someone being allowed to stay because of a cat. Yes, a cat was mentioned in the decision. Did the decision have anything to do with the cat? No. It gets headlines. And it does make people incensed, and that doesn't help discuss this matter.
So you're saying the chicken nugget story, which was widely reported across the media, the BBC, ITV, every newspaper, you're saying that everybody got it wrong?
In that respect, absolutely.
I think
Other things that reported might be right.
Your point is not that they got it wrong. That was mentioned in the decision, but you're saying that wasn't the main reason that deportation was overruled.
I am saying that the man was not allowed to stay because his child didn't like chicken nuggets.
But it was a facet of the judgment. I mean, it's a great headline, isn't it? But there was more to that case.
But in this case that we're talking about this morning, the Albanian man who entered the UK illegally and won his case to stay in the UK despite being convicted of a crime while here, the reason is because there is a threshold. If you're jailed for less than 12 months, that means that you're not eligible for automatic deportation. That is the case, isn't it?
It doesn't. I mean, if you are sentenced to fewer than 12 months, then there's not automatic deportation. Steve and I was talking about this before we come on. But, I mean, if it was an offence that could cause serious harm, then they can be deported. Growing marijuana, growing cannabis can cause serious harm, not just to one person, but to the public at large. What sort of money do we think is used in the proceeds of selling cannabis? You know, it's not taxed. It's black money. It's off the black market, and it should be an offence. But the premise here, and I can't believe Steve, the position that he takes really, is that we've got a person coming to the United Kingdom. They've committed an offence by entering illegally. They are then here and commit yet another offence. When do we say enough is enough? I mean, you talk about the circumstances, but who cares? This person is a serial criminal, and if they continue to get away with it, what we see in criminal law is a propensity to commit more and more serious offences. You may say they're a victim if they go back, if they're an asylum seeker here, for example, but aren't we all victims the public are victims. If they have to use the resources of the police, we're all victims because we have to pay for that. If they have to use the judicial system, we're all victims for that. If they have to go into our prisons are almost at capacity. We can't have any more prisoners, right? So they should go back to relieve, if not in the starting point, all of those critical public services. We've got to put, and I have to say, it's why the public gets so frustrated, because that's the common sense argument of all of this. And yes, the black letter law may say something different, which is great. They can stay. But the public are sick of it.
Well, interestingly, a spokesperson from the Home Office told us, we strongly believe this individual with a criminal conviction of drug offences should not remain in the UK, which is why deportation efforts were clearly made. And this case was contested in court.
And that's absolutely right.
This month, the Conservative Party, the opposition, announced it is their policy that all foreign nationals in the UK who receive a criminal conviction should be deported. The Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, said the proposals are simple. Refugee groups, with whom I'm sure you, Steve, would agree, say that would be ludicrously unworkable.
It would be, and let's remember, there are other costs to public services for ridiculous blanket policies like this. This man, for example, has a partner and child here. If he is deported from this country, you now have a single parent of a child growing up, and we know full well that the chances of that having impacts on social services, on public services, including health services, because of that, including impacts on crime, quite frankly, are real too.
That's no reason to forgive. I mean, yes, OK, there may be circumstances, other circumstances.
All right.
But I think the burden on the public and public services outweighs that. And a human being should know better than to come to a country where they want to stay and commit a criminal offence.